So the math, the traditional math we've all relied on and trusted for pharmacies, has kind of started to come apart at the seams. Now, that doesn't mean there's other bigger problems. Now, this is what we call a sad slide here in the business. This is the change in the number of locations for the three largest pharmacy chains, CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid, and our estimate of what's going on with independent pharmacies. Now, CVS and Walgreens have been actively downsizing their businesses. CVS has shut 900 stores already. They have another 250 or so going this year. Walgreens, which had acquired a couple thousand Rite Aid stores a few years ago, has absorbed those, closed about 1,500 of its net stores in the last few years, and is planning to close another 1,500 stores now that it's intending to go private. Rite Aid, although the slide shows 51%, that's what it is as of today, but really it's going to minus 100%. Rite Aid is going bankrupt, dissolving itself. They've sold the prescription files for 600 stores to CVS. CVS is picking up a small number of stores, about 60 or 70 of them, mainly the old Bartell stores up in the Northwest. Walgreens bought some of them. Albertsons bought some. Rite Aid had no buyers for about 200 stores, I think. It's still unclear exactly. But they're essentially, all those stores are disappearing. And they had, at least before they, hit the skids here, they had about 2,500 stores in 2018. Now they're down below 1,500, maybe 1,300, and obviously going to zero. So just my view on some of the macroeconomic forces that are hurting pharmacies. Number one, generics. When 90% of your prescription activity is a low-price product that is deflating, it's very hard to earn enough gross profit dollars to pay the rent and pay a pharmacist who's earning an average salary of $150,000, $140,000 with full all-in. So it's very hard to make the math work, and you're not picking that up on the front end. The other thing to remember is pharmacy is a fixed cost business. Everyone talks about the average cost to dispense, but really, pharmacy is a marginal cost business. Once you've got that pharmacist there, you've got the store open, filling one incremental script doesn't actually cost you that much. In operating costs. And so that has encouraged pharmacies to bid into narrow networks, and that has lowered margins. So by essentially saying, well, I'll pick up a little extra volume, I will simply give up the margin there. Now, some pharmacies are starting to realize that's not such a great trade-off. They've given up too much margin, but it has driven competition, which is one reason why historically the Federal Trade Commission has said things like narrow networks are very pro-competitive. 90-day prescriptions, not only do they have lower margins, but it also means people are coming into the store less. So you can't even sell them as many of these front-end things. So 90-day prescriptions have been almost like they've kind of backfired a little bit on the retail pharmacy, and 30% of all prescriptions dispensed on an unadjusted basis are 90-day prescriptions, which is like half of all 30-day equivalent prescriptions in a retail store. In addition, pharmacies have lobbied for anti-mail order legislation to say, well, if the mail orders can fill it, we can fill it. And the legislation typically includes a caveat, as long as you don't charge more. And so they've been forced to accept lower payments for a lot of these products. Discount cards have essentially blown away the cash pay market, which used to be kind of a surprisingly big source of profits 10 or 15 years ago. It was kind of a soak the poor strategy at pharmacies. And now generic drugs are a competitive market. Started with Walmart and the $4 generics, and now it's with GoodRx, which is pushing, and other cards like that, Single Care, which are pushing prescription economics down to the pharmacy, basically PBM network rates to the pharmacy. And the fact that brand name drug growth, list price growth is slow is also hurting pharmacies. When prices are going up 10 to 15%, PBMs would adjust reimbursement rates. Oh, instead of getting AWP minus 11, now we get AWP minus 12 because prices went up. But now that's not really happening. And there used to be a little bit more of a lag there. So it removed more of the profitability of brand name drugs. These are fundamental forces. And while you can point fingers at any different actor in the channel, these are things that are, in some sense, outside of anybody's control individually, but they just make the business of pharmacy much worse. That's why there's been a big push to reset the whole game. And I just want to comment on this a little because it is very relevant to where we're going in the pharmacy industry, which is the notion of saying, let's move to acquisition cost. And really, I got to give credit to Mark Cuban for kind of calling the bluff of the industry.